Yo, um,
Sorry for
this
that.
is my
All right,
closed reading.
there you go. That's good.
My name is Emmanuel Ortiz, and this is my closed reading passage of Cormac McCarthy's The Road. So this is the first passage. So I just want to give a little bit of context before we go into this. So essentially, we have two protagonists, and that being the father and the boy. This duo relies heavily on each other throughout the whole book, and the father is shown to be the resilient one. He's the one with the survival instinct, and he's the one that's like shoot first, talk later. This is shown in like the first part of the book where the father actually kills someone, and yeah, basically they kill someone, or not they, the father. So he's always shown to be the leader, but we're also shown that throughout this book, he actually has a disease that's gonna kill him. It's foreshadowed many times that the father is gonna die, and that soon enough the father's gonna have to pass on the fire to the child. um, but now, so this is like the end of the book, and the father's finally succumbing to this disease that will kill him in like 2 pages or so. And now like the roles are reversed. Now the boy is the one that has his gun and he's going out hunting. Um, Top paragraph, it says he left the flare pistol and took the revolver with him, and he scoured the countryside for anything to eat, but he came back empty-handed. So now we can see the boy is actually finally being independent. He's trying to be like his father and scavenge for food and be the one that goes hunting. Um, Here we have the father. Let's move on to the second bullet point. By the way, you have to carry the fire. So here the boy wants to die with the father because he doesn't think he can make it in this world without him. But the father instructs him that you have to carry the fire. You have to continue living for the future of this society, and the boy will do so. And the father reveals that the boy always had the fire. That like basically saying that I was always gonna die, and this was always gonna be the outcome. You always had to carry the fire. Water break. This is the second passage. Um, let's start with the top page. I can't hold my son dead in my arms. I thought I could, but I can't. This is referring to so whenever the dude was gonna go explore a certain place, like a house, the father would give the revolver to the son, so basically leaving the father defenseless. Um, and he gave the revolver to the son in case, like, let's say the kid was about to get kidnapped by some kidnappers, obviously. The father instructed him if that were to occur, you would have to kill yourself, because you don't want I don't want you to be tortured or like raped or something like that. But now, as he is on his deathbed, he's finally like revealing that like I can't like see you dead, like I don't want to see you dead, and I couldn't handle it. And then because if the father saw his kid dead, or like if the child or the boy would to die, then the father would kill himself. And this is like shown previously in the book. I forgot which page. I did my LRJ on it though. Um, there's a certain part where the wife of the father was like, you're only alive because of the boy. Like that's the only reason why you keep on living, because of the boy. And here we have the boy. It's called the best. The good guy theme or trope is like constantly like reminded in the book. Basically, the father or the boy's always concerned about being a good guy. He always does morally correct decisions and actions, even though they live in this apocalyptic world. And this father says that this innocent kid has always been the good guy. Okay, third passage. Um, the little boy reference. Okay, so earlier in the book there was a little boy, and this little boy was seen by the boy. That's kind of confusing, but little boy is a different character and is not part of the protagonist. Um, so the boy saw the little boy, and the boy told his father, "Hey, did you see that little boy in the forest?" And the father was like, "No." Um, and they talk about it, and they say, so the boy asks his father, "Do you remember, or do you think that he's all right, that little boy?" And then the father responds, "I think he's all right," and he expands on it and says, "Goodness will find the little boy. It always has. It will again." Um, so in this conversation, it actually isn't really referring to the little boy, it's more when the boy asks his questions, he's more asking about himself, about his future, like how will he turn out. And the father recognizes this, and he says that goodness will find the little boy. So just like how the little boy found hope and goodness, so will find the little boy who always has and will again. And that's referencing to his boy, that like soon the father will be deceased, and that goodness will find the boy. And this is shown in like the following page, when I don't know if it is the following page, but it will be shown soon enough that goodness did find the child, and that's because of a stranger found him, and that stranger that found him, the boy, will protect him. And it's finally revealed that the father finally succumbed to his disease. Right there in the final paragraph. He when he woke in the morning, his father was cold and stiff. Water break. This is the fourth passage. So throughout the whole book, the characterization of the boy is innocence. He's always innocent. So whenever like the duo encountered a stranger, the boy would always show like empathy. So like let's say there were and there's an instance where like a thief stole their cart, and this cart had all the resources, right? The duo tracked this thief down and found him. So while the father wanted to like show him the consequences and like be harsh, the kid didn't want to do that. But eventually the father decides to strip the man of his clothing and take his clothing away. But because of the boy's innocence and his like morality, he wanted to go back and leave the clothes, which they did, but that man was gone. So that just shows like the kid and his innocence. But now it's being shown that the innocence and violence are kind of, they're both needed. So here you see like the boy goes up to the stranger and points the gun, displaying caution. So the boy is innocent enough to want to give himself to someone because he wants to be protected, but he still displays caution, a trait from his father. The stranger's also wearing a yellow parka. So throughout the whole novel, it's emphasized, or two primary colors are referenced in the book, gray and black, and this is to show like the dread in the world, like how it's so sad and everything's dead. But yellow is usually shown as like as life, as hope, and that's what the stranger shows. This is what the stranger represents. So that's what, and yellow is only used very few times in the book, and this is one of the primary usages of yellow, is to show hope. And this is, by the way, the goodness that I was referring to earlier. The goodness did find the boy, and that's the stranger with the yellow parka. And yeah, basically the boy adapted traits from his father, with his innocence and caution. So moving on to the fifth passage. There's not a lot here, but the stranger observed the boy previously to coming up to him, so he actually wasn't just wandering. He meant to speak with the child. There were like in the middle paragraph it says there was some discussion about whether to even come after you at all. So the stranger is associated with a group. This group actually turns out to be his family, and he gives the boy two choices, and that's essentially you can stay there with your father and die, or you can come with me, which will most likely be which is the option that the boy chooses, right? And then the boy mentions the motif of carrying the fire, basically saying like, "Are you the good guy? Am I safe to go with you?" The stranger doesn't really understand this, but he eventually says, "Yeah, I'm carrying the fire." So the boy's just worried about, are you friendly or not? Okay. So now, it's actually revealed that the stranger is a boy. So previously I said that there was a little boy that the boy found. Now we don't know for sure because it's not explicitly said, but this little boy could possibly be the one that they saw earlier. But it's unlikely because the duo constantly moves south. And if they were constantly moving south, they most likely would have seen this group previously. So it's most likely not the little boy, but it could be. So, and cannibalism is referenced with, and you didn't eat them. No, you don't eat people. No, we don't eat people. So, There's two main events where cannibalism is referenced. That being when they opened the hatch, and then the hatch they found a bunch of people, and I'm guessing these people were really weak, and they were basically used as food for the cannibals. And so that's the first instance. And the second event where they saw the cannibalism is when the duo actually saw a group, and it was a pregnant wife, or there was a pregnant woman in there, and they continued to follow this group, and they made a fire, and they left that fire, but then the duo saw like went to their campsite, and then they're roasting on above the fire is a child. So basically, the woman gave birth most likely, and roasted that baby. So that the boy constantly worries about cannibalism and being eaten. So here you show him, and then here you can see that like he's worried about being eaten by these strangers. Seventh passage. Um. So there's not much. But the stranger. This kind of page focuses on building trust, initial trust with the stranger. So the boy says, "Can you at least keep my father wrapped in a blanket, just one blanket?" Oh, sorry. And the stranger does do that. He does keep the boy's father, dead father, in a blanket, showing a little bit of trust. You know, they're building that initial trust. And he assures the boy to keep the pistol. So that's to show that like that's to build even more trust on top of the blanket thing. Because if someone takes away your weapon in an apocalypse, that's a red flag. You know, you always want to keep a weapon with you. Okay. Oh, also it shows the boy's innocence because how he's so willing to give up his he wants to be friendly. Okay. Okay. Water break. Final passage. So God is referenced throughout the book. This doesn't really connect, but in an earlier page in the novel, it talks about tomorrow as an entity. This tomorrow could be seen as a god. Tomorrow is like an entity that like doesn't know that humanity is there. So actually, scrap all that. That doesn't even matter. But the boy he needs to be comforted, and he decides that I'm gonna talk to my father. And basically, he says that he's basically referring to the fact that like he's gonna when he talks to his father, it's kind of like God. So yeah, and basically at the end, we see that the kid will continue to live because of this new family that adopted him, and so he will continue to carry the fire that his father obligated him to carry. Thank you for listening to me for like 10 minutes. Yeah.